We'll call the school board meeting of Methacton to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements and executive session report. The public is hereby advised of the audio and video recording of this meeting for the purposes of rebroadcasting. Executive session. There was an executive session immediately prior to this meeting on March 25th, 2014, for a matter involving a student for discussion around negotiations with MESPA and the MEA, and a discussion of matters of litigation, a DCED complaint of John Andrews versus Methacton School District. By way of attendance, all board members are present, and we will now move into recognition of guests and scheduled speakers. Dr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 5.1, retirement recognition. Isabel Winkler, a district receptionist. Mr. Harney.
Yes. Dr. Zerbe, can I also have Mr. Orleva come up? This is a very special retirement for us. Isabel Winkler is our receptionist in our office. Isabel has been with us for almost 18 years. She takes care of all of us. She is the first line of defense when anything happens in the office. She's FEMA certified? Yes, she is. So we gave her a hammer, so she takes care of us in the office. She's going to be so greatly missed. And we just wanted to let Isabel know how much we appreciate all her years of service. Give her this plaque and tell her that she has to come back and visit. Thank you. Make sure you get all of them.
Giving Mr. Philip sass on the way out the door.
Next on the agenda, item 5.2, Special Education Comprehensive Plan. I'd like to call on Dr. Michael Murphy.
Good evening. I want to inform you tonight about the district's comprehensive special education plan. There's a handout, a two-page handout for board members. This plan is one that we are to complete every 3 years. It used to be coincidental with the strategic plan. Because of federal laws, we have to do it more often than the state's strategic plan. The handout shows the components of the strategic plan. The plan itself will be available on our website after tonight for yourselves as board members. There are a few hard copies there in front of Dr. Zerbe if someone would like to take one tonight. It will also be available to the public so that as passed, it will be forwarded to the Department of Education on May 1st. This plan is the product of my work with the special education supervisors. We met with a team of teachers and parents of students who are in our special education programs. All the components there are listed and elaborated upon in the full plan. I'd like to bring your attention to the third line under Core Foundations, which refers to the second page, which is a snapshot of our programs as we have them as of 12/1/12, the last date that PDE has data like this available for us. I would be happy to talk about any of the components now, or after tonight, if you would like to contact me by phone, by email, if you have any questions about the components of the special ed plan. The rest of the comprehensive plan for the district will be due, you'll see that around January of 2015. This will be part of it also at that time. Are there questions tonight? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you. Moving on to reports from the board. We'll start with the Finance Committee. Mrs. Petraskis.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on March 11th. At that meeting, Stuart presented an update to the budget that was again presented to the entire board last week at our work session. He also reviewed the financial software transition. We spoke about the treasurer's report and also about the health advocate program that we're going to be entering into. The real exciting thing was, and I haven't been able to see this on the website yet, I checked today and I guess maybe it's not up, or maybe I'm not looking in the right place, but there's an interactive form out there where you can plug in a percentage rate to this form and the numbers will change to show you how that percentage will affect the budget, whether there's a shortfall or we have to spend more money, which would be lovely, but, has that been put out there yet?
That should be up by the end of this week.
Okay, yeah, it's way. So try your hand at that, and you can kind of see a little bit of what the board member in charge is Stuart with. But that's all I have for finance. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Policy Committee, Mrs. Hackett.
Policy Committee met and reviewed several policies. We're presenting one for second reading tonight and one for deletion. Several others have been referred back. And we've set the schedule for Policy Committee meetings from now till June. And it's on the website.
Thank you. Moving on to Property Committee, Mr. Phillips.
Good evening. Good evening. Our last Property Committee meeting, we had a presentation by Snyder Hoffman about looking at our energy uses in the district. They'll be presenting something as far as the manager's agreement for them to look at how our electric's used, gas is used, etc. Also, we discussed and recommended a owner's rep for the field project, which we will get into under 9.8 tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Intermediate unit, want to keep going?
I'll keep going. Yes, on the 20th we had a reception for the intermediate unit down at 2 West Lafayette Street in Norristown for the beginning of construction in their new home. It should be complete between December of this year and January. Real nice building downtown. It's about 3 buildings down from the courthouse. So it's going to be a good outfit for the IU. Thanks.
Thank you. And North Monco Technical Center, Mr. Phillips and Mrs. Woodring.
Thank you.
Sure.
Technical Center. The floral design and landscaping students will hold a sale of assorted potted hanging plants tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, 9 to 2. The state-level Skills USA for those who earn first place at the districts will occur April 9th through 11th. Honor Society inductions are the 12th of April by invitation. There is a Senior Project Expo on May 20th, 6 to 8 p.m., and Senior Recognition Night will be on June 5th. The meeting that we had just last week included a discussion about the preliminary budget, which is still being worked on. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Jim, anything to add?
The only thing I have to add is $5 haircuts and $3 manicures. Was just down there this past Friday for a haircut. No manicure, no. But I'm just advertising for the ladies that they have $3 manicures and pedicures. And yeah, I have like alligator hands right now. I need hand cream, but anyhow. But the haircut was nice.
This is a kill button for the mic, right? Thank you. Moving on to Community Liaison, Mrs. Barone and Mr. Roth.
No report for Lower Providence.
The only thing I have to report is the next conditional use hearing, which I believe is still scheduled for April 8th.
That's good.
Okay, at Worcester Community Hall, and it continues on. Thank you.
Thank you. Curriculum Liaison, Mrs. Hackett.
Yes, I attended the Curriculum Council meeting on March the 5th. It was held at the high school, and I thought I was, in accounting, was in the field of the most acronyms, but I have to tell you, curriculum has more acronyms than we do. Of course, maybe it's just that I don't know them. They were the heads of the departments, each of the departments, and I was very impressed with the participation of all of the members and leadership of our new Director of Curriculum, Mary Katona.
Thank you. Educational Foundation, Mrs. Barone.
Okay, I was not at the March 4th meeting this month because we had a special meeting here at the exact same time for the fields, but everybody is working on the art Corks and Forks, in case everyone hasn't seen it. Here it is, see?
What is the date on that again?
The date on that happens to be Monday, April 7th from 6 to 9 at Chadwick's. The tickets are $40 per person, or discounts of 2 for $70 and 6 tickets for $30 each, so you can get a whole table. They're $50 at the door. I will tell you that our very own Michael Santiago will be playing music for us that night, so we have to come and see him play, and other Methacton staff employees as well. There's going to be restaurants like P.F. Chang, Starbucks, Olive Garden, Bertucci's, Whalen, Spice Kitchen, Mango Tree, and all kinds of beautiful art for everybody to look at. So if you get a chance, please come out and check it out. It should be fun, and some of the proceeds are going to go towards the fields as well as the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate the foundation providing some of the funds towards the fields. Next up is Home and School Liaison, Mrs. Hackett and Mrs. Petraskis.
Thank you. I attended 2 home and school meetings this month. I think it was 2. I went to Woodland, and I went to one other one. I can't remember. In any event, the big news is that the home and school leaders met on March 17th, and we met to begin talking about what's going to replace the old district council. So we did form a new Methacton Coordinating Council, that's what we're going to call it, and we elected officers. We had at least one representative from every school. We began to work on standardizing some forms. We're going to have all our financial forms standard as they're going to feed into a standard all-district form, so it'll be easier if they're all alike. And we're going to standardize some other practices, but by no means are we going to try to standardize the creativity and the fun that all of the home and school associations currently have. We're also looking at some bylaws that will encompass every association's needs. And we also began the process of becoming a 501(c)(3) corporation. Brenda?
I attended 3 home and school meetings. I attended one at the high school, one at Arcola, and one at Audubon, as well as the 2 meetings with Joyce on the 10th and 17th. Each of the schools continues to run a significant number of projects, and this is a busy part of the year for all of them. And people are very interested in running their projects and raising money for the various things in the schools. But one of the things that I noticed is that the recurring theme is it's difficult to get officers for next year. And I can't tell you the conversations that were held there. They're looking to the lower schools if they're going to feed people for that. So that is an issue, and perhaps when the council gets together and people can talk about it, maybe there will be some ideas with regard to that. One of the things that was presented at home and school meetings was the post-prom event. I think we have some information on it, and I'd like to ask Mrs. Woodring if she'd like to say something about it.
Thank you. It is prom season. I had offered at the door this flyer to everyone coming in, and I think I put one at every board member's place, but I would certainly like to encourage any adult, parent, grandparent to join us on April 1st. That's a Tuesday evening, 6:30 to 8:30 in the Methacton High School cafeteria for a very distinguished panel discussion about how we can make prom night very successful, very safe for our students. One of the themes certainly to be discussed will be overuse or abuse of harmful substances, which often are followed by not so great choices. And so we have a certified recovery specialist on our panel, another expert from the Southeast Council. The featured door prizes may be of interest. 2 prom tickets will be available as door prizes, as will some parking passes for seniors and juniors, courtesy of Mrs. Landis. And thank you for all your help coordinating this. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to legislative liaison, Mrs. Petraskas.
Thank you. Just one issue on the federal level. On March 4th, President Obama released his fiscal year 2015 budget proposal. The budget, if passed, would impact school districts for the 15-16 school year. The budget request is for $68.6 billion, or a 2% increase from 2014. On the state level, there was appropriation hearings on Governor Corbett's proposed 2014-15 budget. Of note, Budget Secretary Zogby testified that the administration is reviewing a pension reform hybrid concept that could save $7.4 billion over the next 30 years in pension costs. It would preserve the traditional pension for lower salary employees and then shift retirement benefits that are based on earnings over $50,000 a year into a 401k type plan. Charter funding reform. Negotiations continue between legislative leaders to find compromise language regarding charter funding reform. The university authorizer proposal, that is where the authorization would be removed from the school district and placed on the Institute of Higher Learning. That's proposed under Senate Bill 1085, has prevented movement as there is not enough Senate votes to support it. There were discussions regarding the House Bill 618 as it contains the bulk of the supported language. There are hopes that a compromise on the particulars will be reached prior to the primary election. Auditor General DePasquale has held a series of public meetings on ways to improve accountability, effectiveness, and transparency in charter schools. This whole report's going to be posted on the website by the end of the week, and if you're interested in this charter school funding reform, you should read some of the comments that were made. Both charter schools and public schools testified at this public hearing, and some of them I thought were very interesting. On March 12th, the House State Government Committee held a public hearing to consider House Bill 1671. This is on school board executive sessions. All you sunshine rule gurus will be interested to hear that they're looking at new guidelines for public bodies that enter into private executive sessions. So we may see a change, and I think the board might be interested in that. Chapter 4 regulations. On March 1st, the Chapter 4 regulations concerning Pennsylvania academic standards and graduation requirements were published in the Pennsylvania Bulletin and are now in effect. There's many regulations. These regulations establish the Pennsylvania core academic standards. One of them that I thought was very interesting to the district is that if passed, this would eliminate actually it has passed and it's in effect now, it eliminates the requirement for school districts to submit strategic plans to the department. Any of you that's been involved in that know that's a huge undertaking and very time consuming for the district. Also, school weather emergency provision. On March 11th, Senator Jake Corman introduced Senate Bill 1281 to provide public schools with additional options to make up snow days in order to meet the Commonwealth's requirement that we be open for 180 days. Some of the recommendations is that the school could extend their day and count hours rather than days to meet the requirements, and also it would allow them to hold school one Saturday a month. This bill has been expedited. In fact, I saw today that on March 19th, It was approved by the Senate, and now it moves on to the House. So we should hear about that very soon. And finally, on Thursday, Dr. Zerbe and I will be participating in a workshop conducted by the Pennsylvania Education Policy and Leadership Center. It's their 2014 Education Issues Workshop for legislative candidates. So we're going to go in here and what the legislators are being told the top education issues are. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Technology Liaison, Mr. O'Neill.
No report for tonight.
Thank you. Next item, Federal Relations Network, Mrs. Woodring.
Thank you. National School Board Association has been very busy in Washington over the past month. There has been a push on the Department of Education and the HHS department to maximize local flexibility when implementing the new Race to the Top preschool grant program. There's $250 million at stake, and there have been several strong suggestions made. The applications will be available by late summer, early fall, with grant awards by the end of 2014. NSBA also met at the White House to discuss proposed food marketing prohibitions. This would ban advertising of any unhealthy foods in school campuses during school days. This certainly has an impact on our local wellness program, require a number of compliance standards that speak to nutrition and healthy lifestyles. School districts are able to comment to NSBA until the end of April. And the Department of Agriculture has proposed standards for education and experience of school food service directors, including contractors. These requirements will apply to new hires after July 1st, 2015. Also included are annual training plans, and NSBA welcomes comment by the 4th of April. There's certainly a push on for increased Title I and special ed funding. Dear colleague letters have been drafted by NSBA for both the House and the Senate. And there's also included in the Senate piece increased IDEA for the next school year. And finally, NSBA is in opposition to a new Senate bill on restraint and seclusion that was introduced last month. The bill would reduce the authority of states and local school districts to decide the appropriate use of restraints and seclusion in public schools. And NSBA feels like local school boards should retain decision-making in these situations. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Student Board Representatives.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to talk about Mr. Methacton. We had a very successful fundraiser, and for everyone who went, believe I can vouch for them and say that it is very entertaining. All of the tickets were sold, and actually more like standing room was sold too for everyone else who came, and over $3,100 were raised, and this money will go to supporting local families in need, supporting senior citizens for Senior Citizen Day, supporting 2 local families over the winter break, and also go to student-based school improvements and activities. I would also like to thank the local businesses who donated and allowed for a very successful fundraiser. Following this, I would like to say that the Battle of the Bands fundraiser is occurring April 11th. I recommend everyone go to that. I believe ticket price has not been decided yet, And Film Festival is also this Friday with $8 tickets at the door. Recommend everyone go to that too. Moving on to Natalia.
On March 14th, Methacton held its first ever mini-thon, which was an 8-hour dance marathon. Over 500 kids showed up, and we raised $28,000 for pediatric cancer. In addition, spring sports began earlier this month. The teams are practicing hard for their upcoming games. On March 1st, Methacton High School Theater Company presented Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel. The play attracted a huge crowd and was a big success, and many juniors and seniors are looking forward to prom, which will be April 25th this year at the Sunnybrook Ballroom in Pottstown. That's all for us. Thank you.
Thank you for that excellent report. Great job. Moving on to Superintendent's report. Dr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Mr. President. On March 18th, 2014, the Methacton School District received 2 general construction and 1 electrical bid as part of their high school athletic field complex project. While preparing for this evening's meeting and in review of the bid responses, I recognize the overall complexity of the bid process and raised several questions that still remain unanswered for myself. As a result, I am recommending this evening to the board that we pause on this project. In order to properly evaluate the complex scenarios associated with the bids that we received, as well as provide a solid recommendation that not only meets the safety, playability, and regulatory requirements before us, but is also fiscally responsible and consistent with our overall intent. And that intent is to deliver on a field renovation project for the Methacton High School campus. I want to make it perfectly clear that as superintendent of schools, the renovation of our high school fields are needed and shall remain a district priority. I ask that the board provide me 2 weeks to address items with our architect and administrative team to provide an appropriate and affordable solution for our community. I may come back to you with a recommendation to hold a special meeting in order to move forward with our recommendation. And I ask that the board put aside April 8th and April 15th as possible dates for a special meeting. And I would ask that the president ask later on in our items, around item number 9.7, for a vote on that particular recommendation from me.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe. We'll vote on that later on in the evening. Anything else you have to report?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move into public comment on board action items. Anyone with public comment on board action items for tonight? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 8, board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of the work session held on February 28th, 2014, and the regular board meeting held on February 26th, 2014? Is there a second? Second? Sorry, I didn't look up. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. We'll now move on to fiscal items. Mr. Whiteleather.
Thank you. A few items on for this evening. Item 9.1 is a list of bills. Just real quickly on that particular item, you'll see that we've added an additional explanation relative to any wires that were made on behalf of Methacton School District to any entity. Primarily those come into terms the form of debt service payments, medical insurance payments, etc. So you'll see that further explanation that will be on this month's bill list and moving forward. Item 9.2 is our monthly treasurer's report on for your approval. 9.3 is the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Special Education Cost Plan for the 14-15 budget. 9.4 is creation of a student activity for the Arcola Cross Country in accordance with Board Policy 618. Item 9.5 is a settlement agreement relative to a special education situation. And lastly, item 9.6 is on for your approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the Methacton School District and the Methacton Educational Support Professional Association with the dates of July 1, 2014 through June 30, 2017. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Stuart. So we're asking for approval of several items. I'm assuming that folks will want to take some out. So I'm assuming that we'll want to take the 9.6, the collective bargaining agreement, out. So can I have a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.5? Mark, second. Joyce, discussion?
Yes. In the payment of the bills, we have check to Worcester Township for $31,1650 for the fields for December and January. Are we paying the township's legal fees? Or what is that statement for? Is that...
If recollection serves me, there was a bill, we've created an escrow for any costs associated with the project to date, and we received a bill from the township relative to that particular check that was cut that you're referencing there.
Because usually when the townships hold an escrow, they're doing draws for attorney's fees and...
Correct.
So I take it, as they drag this out, we're still paying for their attorney.
That would be any costs associated with the field project to date is the reason for those checks. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Move on to item 9.6. Can I have a motion to approve the ratification of the terms of the tentative collective bargaining agreement between Methacton School District and the Methacton Educational Support Professional Association with an effective date of July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2017? Motion Brenda, second Herb. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? We could have taken that. Unanimous. Okay, items 9.7 and 9.8 deal with the bid award of the field project and construction owner's representative. In light of the superintendent's report, in lieu of those two items, I will ask for a motion. I'll ask for a motion to direct the superintendent to hold on any bid award activities and to take 2 weeks to reassess and come back to us with a recommendation. Is there a motion? Jim, second. Maria? Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? And I would ask board members to block off April 8th and April 15th as possible dates for a special meeting. When you go back and look at your calendars, if there's an issue. Brenda, is there?
April 8th is the conditional use hearing.
Okay.
April 9th.
So April 9th or April 15th. And if you go back and see issues on your calendars, please let Dr. Zerbe know as soon as possible, and we'll work around that. But the superintendent will go off and work with the solicitor, administration, property committee, assess the bids we received, and come back with a recommendation. Okay, moving on to item 9.9, fundraising consultant. Dr. Zerbe.
Yes. This evening, I'd like to recommend to the board that we authorize the administration to contract with NCS Group of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania from April 1, 2014 through March 31st, 2015 for fundraising consulting services not to exceed $55,000 and contingent on the solicitor review of the contract. To give the board and the public an update on that, we, as part of this project, undertook an evaluation of fundraising consultants, and as a result, we have narrowed, as a committee, has narrowed down the pool of applicants, as well as have done the reference checks which were provided to board members. And that is our recommendation for this evening. Are there any questions related to that?
Oh, you want to? I was just going to ask, do we have a goal that we're giving them for an amount, or you're doing that later after you?
It is our intent at this time to contract with NCS to help us define that goal. Our intent is not to do a thorough evaluation of our constituency, but to really look at the data that we currently have available to us, look at the information that we have from other groups that have done fundraising within the community to assess our potential at raising an amount. and then define that amount, and then work towards setting goals relating to getting that amount as needed. So we believe the fundraiser will help us establish that amount.
So to be clear, we're not hiring these folks to go off and raise X dollars. We're hiring them to assist us in, as the superintendent said, set the goal, train volunteers, develop collateral and materials. So basically, we're going to hire them to help us raise the money. It's going to be a volunteer-driven effort. And this group, just for some context, this group has done that with a number of public districts, which I think is important because and they will tell you that public school districts typically have some more challenges raising money than religious schools or private schools where it's accepted. And they did a number of districts in the area, some capital campaigns for districts in the area. So that's why we thought that they would be beneficial to us in this situation.
Do we have a budget for how much we will pay them?
I'm sorry. In my recommended motion, we are asking that we do not exceed $55,000. They've provided to us that typically between the, if we get the contract approved for April, between April and July, their tentative charges would be about $4,800 per month. Through August through January, about $3,500 per month. And February through March, about $2,500 per month. And they're escalated down based on the amount of on-site and the amount of work that's done. But those are general guidelines. Once we work out the details of exactly what we need them to do, we then negotiate down those prices as well. But for this motion this evening, I'm asking that we not exceed an amount so that we can move forward with doing the negotiations.
Other questions for Dr. Zerbe? Okay. Hearing none, then I'll ask for a motion to authorize the administration to contract with NCS Group of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania for fundraising consultant services from April 1st, 2014 through March 31st, 2015, not to exceed $55,000 and contingent upon review of the contract by the solicitor. Is there a motion? Brenda, second. Maria, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. And that is, Stuart, anything else on fiscal items?
No.
Dr. Okay. Moving on to item number 10, personnel items. Mr. Harney.
Yes, we have one resignation classified for your approval this evening. We have 2 employment classified for your approval, 1 employment long-term substitute classified, 2 change of status classified. We have 3 uncompensated leave classified requests this evening, 10 supplemental contracts. We have 1 addition to our classified substitute list, and we're asking for your approval for the attached list of volunteers that was in your packet.
Can we take these all at once, or does anybody want to break anything out? Okay, I will ask for a motion to approve personnel items 10.1 through 10.12. Mark, is there a second? Second. Brenda, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Anything else? Okay. Moving on to curriculum and programs. Mrs. Katona.
The first item, 11.1, new textbooks for review. The first 3 items were items that you saw last week for textbooks for those particular courses. Numbers 4 and 5 go with the Spanish, the AP Spanish course, and if you recall last week I mentioned that there would be 2 more textbooks on here this week. When this came out at that time, we didn't have those books available for review, but we do now. So they are here. 11.2 is for the course proposal for the reading strategies and study skills. 11.3 for the summer Keystone Math Boot Camp. And then 11.4 Gifts and donations to accept a gift of an electric vehicle from St. Mark's School of Southborough, Massachusetts to Methacton High School's Electric Car Club, value of $13,500. This would be used as a teaching tool for the students. And 11.5 is field trip approval for 3 qualifying Methacton High School students to Millersville University for National History Day competition from May 12, 2014 and May 13th. The cost would be one substitute. If students are successful there, they then would move on to nationals in June.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Katona. Can I have a motion to approve items 11.1 through 11.5? Kim, second. Jim, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. Moving on to item number 12, policy. Dr. Zerbe.
Item 12.1 is the second reading for policy 011, board governance standards, codes of conduct. Item number 12.2, policy deletions. Policy number 237, electronic devices. As the policy committee reviewed and we reported at the work session last week, policy 237 is recommended for deletion because the language in that policy is found in the recently approved policy number 815, the acceptable use policy, on page 4 of that document relating to electronic devices.
Anything else in policy?
I do not.
Said no action tonight on this. Okay. Any questions on policy?
Approval for second reading.
I'm sorry, second reading. Sorry. Okay. Then can I have a motion to approve item 12.1, policy number 011, board governance standards / code of conduct? Brenda, second. Herb, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? And policy deletions, do we take that up now, or do we have to let that sit?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Item number 13, other. Dr. Zerbe.
The Methacton School Board needs to approve a nomination as representative for the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Currently, Mr. Phillips has been filling in that role due to the vacated position from Mr. Jones. I would imagine someone needs to make a recommendation or volunteer for that particular position.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Jim Phillips for that position.
Is there a second? Second. So nomination by Herb, second by Joyce. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Not the time to I'll call it unanimous. Congratulations, and my condolences to the IU.
The next item on the agenda is item 13.2, the 2014-2015 school calendar. I just want to bring to the attention of the board that the school calendar, as presented here this evening, is similar in nature and structure to the calendar that was approved last year to start the 2013-14 school year in September. And I'm recommending that that particular format and the format presented for you this evening and the dates included be approved. Item 13.3, commencement exercises. As we were moving through the process, and as we continue to move through the process of the renovation for the fields at the Methacton High School, we've made a decision as a board that we were to plan on moving graduation. As a result, we had sent out a survey to both students and parents of seniors, and we asked them 3 questions. Those questions are, please rank the following settings according to preference, with 1 being the most preferred and 3 being the least preferred. And please note, this list is randomized for every survey taker, and therefore options may appear in no particular order. So the three options read: indoor commencement ceremony at Oaks Expo Center. With this option, commencement would be held on Saturday, June 14th. Option number 2, outdoor commencement ceremony at North Penn High School. With this option, a rain date would be necessary. Commencement would be scheduled for June 12th with a rain date of June 13th. And the third option, indoor commencement ceremony in the gymnasium at Methacton High School. With this option, guest attendance would be limited to 2 per graduate. Commencement would be held on June 12th. And just some clarification on that last option. Typically, we usually have from 5 to 6 guest attendance vouchers that we provide per graduate. As a result of that survey, both the students and the parents responded in favor of holding an outdoor graduation at North Penn. And in light of our current position on the Methacton High School athletic complex renovation, I'm asking the board if I may propose the dates for graduation based on the information that I have available for me today, but reserve the right till we meet the next time to designate the location. So therefore, because North Penn was the winner in the survey from parents and students, and for the fact that we are losing some time here with our field project, I'm suggesting that and recommending that we designate June 12th as the date of graduation based on the current calendar, barring any additional snow days at this point, and the rain date being June 13th, with a location to be determined in the very near future. So we need approval of the calendar for next year, and we need approval of the graduation dates as I presented.
So we'll ask for a motion to approve items 13.2, the 2014-2015 school calendar as presented, and 13.3, commencement exercises scheduled for June 12th, 2014, with a rain date of June 13th, 2014, with a location to be determined. Is there a motion? Brenda, second. Kathleen, sorry. Long day. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Okay. Calendar is approved and commencement is set. Dates for board members' calendars and for the public. April 8th, 2014, Finance Committee meeting, 6 p.m. That'll be at the Farina Education Building. April 15th, there'll be a Policy Committee meeting at 6:15 p.m. at Methacton High School. April 15th, there will also be a board work session at 7 p.m. here at Methacton. And April 22nd, there will be a regular board meeting at 7 p.m. here at Methacton. And then I guess we're holding April 9th as a potential special.
As potential is correct.
Right, in conjunction with the work session.
I will be diligent in giving enough advance notice to our members of the board and the public.
If I could just make a statement on the 9th and the 15th were the 2 days, yet we have items on the 15th.
Well, the 15th is a work session.
Right, but I think that was one of the days we were considering for
the special meeting. But so we would just
substitute?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we can vote on things and move forward. Okay, old business. Anyone have any old business? Okay, new business. Maria.
Okay, bear with me. During the recent snowstorms, Holy Rosary students utilized an app called GoToMeeting. Holy Rosary broadcasts lessons to their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students who currently use iPads in the classroom on a regular basis, thus they did not miss any school. We must use technology to empower our teachers and improve the way students learn. Educational technology will change the face of education by helping teachers manage the classroom and personalize instruction. Some 2,000 students have partnered with Google to use their Chromebooks, which start at $200. Some 20 million students and teachers are already using them. New York is looking at replacing textbooks with tablets. LA has allocated $50 million to buy tablets. Ernst School District in Austin spent $1.2 million to provide tablets for all of its students from kindergarten up to 12th grade. Discovery Education provides digital lessons that run on laptops, desktops, iPads, and other tablets. It runs between $38 and $55 per student for a 6-year lease, compared to a school book, which could go $70 to $100. Students can track events within weeks of their happening. They were able to watch the storm Sandy and weeks after, like right after when they were doing the cleanup. Parents not fluent in English can switch to another language so they can assist their students. Students who are not English speaking can toggle between languages. More than 35 states use Discovery. I would just like to request that the technology group look into the feasibility of providing our students with tablets and provide an update to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Jim?
In recent weeks, we've talked about our bus department, and I look at expenses and what's happening in the state. One of the things in the state with natural gas, we have a resource in the state, and I've often wondered about our buses running on compressed natural gas versus diesel fuel. One of the things about that is it's much cleaner. There's a lot less smell. When you change the oil, the wear on the engines, the oil's cleaner. There are some benefits there. The other benefit is jobs within the state. We have a natural resource within our state, which we don't have to resource out to get diesel fuel. The cost on compressed gas is much cheaper than diesel fuel. And it's something that, as we're going through different processes, I'd like to look at, or at least the property committee, take a look, see if there's any data out there, and if there's any companies that can give us some data on that. And also look at the county-wise, just as we have a consortium for healthcare, a consortium for us looking at this as a resource and lowering our costs on energy and looking at alternative energy. So that's just something that I'd like to put on the agenda for the next property committee.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business come before the board? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to courtesy of the floor. Anyone from the public for courtesy of the floor?
Hi, Lois Byrne, Lower Providence. So I was just curious, I can appreciate the complexity of the bids coming in, and obviously we want to do you only get one shot, to get it right, and we need to be financially responsible. I was just curious if there's any more details that could be shared with the audience at large as to the complexity and issues that are being faced. And second, with a 2-week extension, obviously, the original start date was April 15th, so that's obviously at jeopardy. So I guess the question is this still being considered for a project for 2014, or are we looking to kind of rebid and decide a new timeline? Thank you.
I think in the opening parts of my statement, where I mentioned that we had two, and maybe the public isn't aware of this, we've gone through 2 phases of bidding. We've had one phase of bidding where we received 0 general contracting bids, 1 electrical bid, and 1 plumbing bid. We made some adjustments to those bid documents, and I believe somewhere around later part of February, we got authorization from the board to bid a second time. We received 2 general contracting bids, one electrical bid. And we held on to the bid for the plumbing. At this time, there's still a lot of unanswered questions that I don't feel that I can appropriately explain at this moment in time to the board or to the public. So it's one of those things where I need some time to, because we just got these bids in on the 18th in the evening. We met late last week trying to think that we could get this organized and be able to present something that's, like I said, appropriate for the intent of this project. We need to deal with these fields. No question about it. The fields need to be renovated. I think that the board, for the number of meetings special meetings that we've held with you, the time that you've spent on this project, I can tell you that this board's committed to getting something done. The problem is, we need to get something done in a manner that not only meets our health and safety and playability requirements, but meets the needs of our community from our tax base. We need to be fiscally responsible in this, and I need to be able to be confident that the numbers that I'm giving this board and the recommendation that I'm providing is that of meeting all that criteria. So that's where we stand at this moment in time. With regards to the timeline, certainly, our initial discussion at this last bidding process, April 15th, we would like to break ground. Certainly, this delay will, impact that start date. At this moment in time, I can't tell you when how it will impact it, but it could.
Okay, thank you.
Other public comment? Okay, hearing none. Are there any questions? Any questions? Mr. Andrews?
John Andrews, Lower Providence. Had a couple questions. At a recent meeting, there was mentioned that the district's got some improvement in the assessments relative to the Wawa property, and there are 3 Wawa properties in the district, and I wonder if there could be some clarification on that. And my other question is there any date for when teachers need to announce their retirements as that affects the budget that you're in the midst of? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll address answers to questions at future board meeting, unless you have any responses now that you want to share. Okay. Communication. Any other questions from the public? Sorry. Okay. Communications. Ms. Lynch.
Skyview will hold its annual Career Day for 5th and 6th graders next week. Skyview parents, Methacton community members, administrators, and others will provide students with insight into their careers throughout the day on that date. The annual Methacton String Jamboree will be held on Thursday, April 3rd at Arcola. More than 450 students representing grades 4 through 12 will participate in that concert. And as part of this popular event, collections will be taken up for Philabundance, and hopes that attendees will fill the collection boxes as they fill the auditorium to hear string music representing this year's theme of adventurers, detectives, and spies. Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Herb, second. Maria. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.